Welcome. I'm Tracy Smith, and this is Here Comes the Sun, a closer look at some of the people, places, and things we bring you every weekend on Sunday morning. Sylvester Stallone has had a box office #1 hit for each of the last 6 decades. But as Lee Cowan found out, he's not done yet.
It doesn't strike me that you're ever going to give this life up. Like you're going to be in front of a camera somewhere doing something.
Yeah. You know, I thought I could. But I'm sort of obsessed with it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I want to prove things.
Still?
Yeah, I just think, like, Sly, I know everyone thinks you can't. Do you think you can? And it just keeps me going.
There's more from Lee's chat with Sylvester Stallone coming up a little later in the show.
Were you always into reading and literature?
No, it was an acquired distaste. When I was completely, I never failed. I mean, I never passed English course in my life. Really, I mean, my report card looks like F is my favorite letter. I mean, really,
Even in English, though?
Yeah, terrible.
And writing and
terrible. Because I don't understand the process of structure. I mean, you can sit there and diagram, break down the sentences, and use all kinds of intransitive verbs. You go, but is it funny? Is it a story? I think what makes quite often an interesting story is the imperfection or the pentameter of speech.
Then Connor Knighton takes us to the Lumberjack World Championships to meet the Lumberjacks and Jills who take up the challenge.
Over the years, the sport has expanded to include a growing number of Lumberjills.
Martha King is not waiting around.
One of the best is Martha King. She won the women's all-around at the World Championships in 2019.
The women cut several chopping events. My favorite is the underhands. That's where you stand on a block and chop between your feet.
Who's it gonna be?
That seems terrifying, though, right? If something goes wrong, like the most could go wrong in that.
I don't even think about that anymore. My mom used to not be able to watch me at all. She'd say, I just have to close my eyes and listen for you to be done.
That's all coming up right here on Here Comes the Sun. Sylvester Stallone has played iconic roles like Rocky and Rambo. But as he tells Lee Cowan, he's finally landed the role of his dreams.
That's great. I'm glad you made it, man.
Thank you. Sylvester Stallone seemed almost overly eager to talk about his latest project. In part, perhaps, because it's the kind of part he's been denied for his entire professional career.
I went up for The Godfather.
Did you really?
Yes, as an extra.
An extra?
And didn't get it. You don't look Italian enough.
Really?
The only thing that looks more Italian than me is a pizza.
But now, at age 76,
Not exactly the welcome I was expecting.
the Italian stallion is earning his chops as a real mafioso.
After everything I've been through, after everything I've lost, after everything I've done for this family, your family, there's nothing left for me! Hey!
Tulsa King, the latest streaming series from our parent company, Paramount.
Most of you know my nickname is the General.
Follows an aging Goodfella fresh out of federal prison. But instead of celebrating with coffee and cannoli, his New York crime family shuts him out and sends him west.
Name's Tyson. Welcome to Tulsa.
To set up a racketeering and gambling operation on the plains of Oklahoma.
You could earn like crazy. Do whatever you want.
I need to see your books.
Are you from the government?
I just knocked your guard out, and you think I'm a CPA? Take the Sopranos, put them on a stagecoach, and see what happens.
So part of this is, I mean, it's not a comedy, but there's a humorous element in it in that you are this East Coast guy coming to kind of figure out what the West is all about, right?
Yeah, it is. There's a whole different kind of culture out here, which is really what forged a lot of the country. And then generation after generation, they meld into the tapestry of America, but they don't get the kind of attention you would think.
Which is why he wanted to take us here.
Those guys are long gone.
To Oklahoma's National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum.
Look at that.
Right?
Where he showed off his new pair of custom Roy Rogers boots.
How come he never did a Western?
Look at me. Hey, you doing? How you doing? You got any Indians that need like spumoni?
Still, when Rocky first made him a star, he says it was none other than John Wayne who was among the first to welcome him to Hollywood.
And he goes, "You're new in the business, kid." I go, "Yeah, I just started." He goes, "Welcome. My name's John Wayne." And we're like, duh.
Even the Duke knew that Rocky had tapped into something. It wasn't really a boxing movie, it was more a love story.
Adrian!
Rocky!
Hey, where's your hat?
I love you!
I love you.
It resonated for all sorts of reasons, and so did Stallone.
I don't give a damn who it is. You can't buy fame. You can't manufacture it. It has nothing to do with good looks or muscles or anything. It's an unknown, mysterious virus that some people are lucky enough to catch.
Stallone has written 1 in every 3 movies he's appeared in, some featuring characters that he admits he may have resurrected one too many times.
I finally came home
Uncle John!
to defend the only family I've ever known.
But consider this. He's had a #1 box office hit in every one of the last 6 decades, even voicing a shark.
Monster Num Num. Of course, I'm not as relevant. I'm not this, I'm not that. But the one thing I do really stand tall and proud of is longevity.
How do you think you've changed as an actor over all these decades?
I got better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. You know, you think you have a peak. There's a peak in energy, and there's a peak in perhaps volatility, and look at me go. But when you're younger, it's like when in doubt, shout. Yeah. But when you get older, there's just gravitas.
And yet, after all that time on the big screen,
What do you want to do from over here?
Yeah, we got you right here, Sly.
Tulsa King is Stallone's first foray into television.
You can speed ahead a little bit, please.
He's not nervous per se, but to watch him on set,
You can go further into it, like halfway into the scene.
he's treating the small screen with a level of respect that he never imagined when he was coming up.
Is it weird doing TV now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At one time, when you were on TV, you realize, oh boy, I guess I'm genetically flawed.
I'm genetically flawed.
You know, the things have changed now. Now it's just the opposite. Your best actors are streaming.
Before streaming, there were just a few big studios.
You can toss them over till it's over.
Was that from the 80s?
That's probably in the 70s.
And when it came to the 6th installment of the Rocky franchise, Rocky Balboa, basically all of them thought Rocky was on the ropes.
Matter of fact, I wanted that to be my last film. I wanted, like, okay, I did it. I said I just wanted Rocky to come to the rescue, prove a point that it's never over till it's over. No one, and I mean no one, wanted me to make it. And boy, Rocky, damn, it came through.
That said, you might be surprised to learn that Stallone doesn't own Rocky. The rights actually belong to the studio and the producer of the franchise, Irwin Winkler. And while Stallone says he's hardly suffering financially, judging from his now deleted Instagram slams at Winkler recently, it's clear that it still stings.
It bothers me. It does. It's not about the money. It's like, it's part of my soul. It belongs to someone who has very little. That's all.
Winkler has not responded to us or anyone, but the tabloid soon moved on to another target, Stallone's marriage. His wife of 25 years, Jennifer Flavin, announced that she was filing for divorce. Some outlets even suggested that Stallone's new Rottweiler, Dwight, may have sparked one argument too many.
The next love scene, I'm playing with you. Okay? With you. Right now, I'm revved up, and no one can be around me. That's why I bought a dog.
Not long after Tulsa King wrapped, he and his wife and Dwight the dog all made up and agreed they'd give it another shot. That's just the kind of final scene he might write himself. He says he's a sucker for happy endings.
Doesn't strike me that you're ever going to give this life up. Like you're going to be in front of a camera somewhere doing something.
Yeah. You know, I thought I could. I thought I could, but I'm sort of obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to prove things.
Still?
Yeah, I just think, like, Sly, I know everyone thinks you can't. Do you think you can? And it just keeps me going.
No telling yet just where Tulsa King will take us. But now more than ever, Sylvester Stallone seems intent on still playing the underdog, whether it's a boxer or a mobster.
I just think the world is so miserable at times. Give me what you wish it could be. People always want hope. It doesn't cost a dime, it's free, it's 4-letter word. Give it to them.
More exclusive excerpts from their conversation coming up a little later in the show. But up next, athletes take a swing and a chop and a cut for glory.
Go.
Known as the Olympics of the Forest, the World Lumberjack Championships bring together athletes to compete in 20 events. As Connor Knighton learned, some competitors have very deep roots in this sport.
2, 1, go.
At the Lumberjack World Championships, there is never a dull moment. Razor-sharp axes,
Go.
saws of all sorts slice through logs of aspen. When the competitors aren't chopping wood, they're climbing it, up to 90 feet in the air, racing across it.
Great recovery there.
Rolling on it. Over the course of one summer weekend in Wisconsin, there are more than 20 different events. The festivities begin with a ceremonial log roll lighting of the torch.
This has been called the Olympics of the Forest. This year we've got competitors from the Czech Republic, Sweden, Japan, Canada, and the United States.
Nancy Knudsen does marketing for the Lumberjack World Championships, which have been held in the small town of Hayward, Wisconsin since 1960.
If it weren't for lumberjacks, we wouldn't be standing here.
Logging was the industry of Hayward?
It was. It was the reason why Hayward is here.
More than a century ago, lumberjacks came to this part of Wisconsin to log the white pine forests. Here, and in timber towns all across the country, lumberjacks would occasionally wager on who could chop the fastest or climb the highest.
Up to the top, and then...
Those informal contests eventually morphed into a full-on sport. Today, competitive lumberjacking can be found everywhere from local fairs and festivals to internationally televised events.
Honestly, I kind of thought everybody would be dressed like this. Like everyone looks like they're about to go teach a Peloton class. Is this not the lumberjack attire?
It's the unofficial lumberjack attire.
Matt Koger is a full-time lumberjack athlete. He competes and trains year-round. He's traveled from his home in Grafton, West Virginia, to events across the world with his trusty axes in tow.
You've got a bag full of 6 axes.
Yep.
What kind of murderer does the TSA think you are?
It's always challenging traveling on airplanes and stuff.
While there is some prize money involved,
Go.
the vast majority of these competitors have other jobs. They do it for the love of logging.
It's super hard to make a living at competitive lumberjack sports right now. You have to travel and you have to win. That's probably the hardest part.
But Koger makes winning look easy. He's got 2 world records.
Matthew Kogar gets the world record.
And he's taken home 7 overall titles at the Steel Timber Sports U.S. Championship. The first time he won first place, he beat out his second cousin.
Matt Koger finishes a couple of hits ahead of Arden Koger.
You cut this side, I'll cut this side.
Arden Koger Jr. lives a couple of hours away from Matt. They frequently train together. Arden was racking up records and titles when Matt was just a kid.
The axe and saw has taken me around the world. I have been to Europe 26 times, and I've never had to pay for one trip.
In between competitions, Arden is racking up billable hours. He's an attorney. His office is home to several mementos from his father's career. Arden Koger Sr. was one of the first nationally known lumberjack athletes.
Arden Koger, and he is a man that's held those 15 world championships.
There are records set by Arden Sr. in the 70s that still haven't been broken.
My father was not an educated man. My father stopped going to school when he was in the 3rd grade. But he always wanted me to get as much education as I possibly could because he wanted me to do something different than what he did. The sport was about the only thing we had in common. And so the reason why I love it so much is because that's how I got to know my dad.
Over the years, the sport has expanded to include a growing number of lumberjills.
Martha King is not waiting around.
One of the best is Martha King. She won the women's all-around at the World Championships in 2019.
The women cut several chopping events. My favorite is the underhands. That's where you stand on a block and chop between your feet.
Who's it gonna be?
That seems terrifying, though, right? If something goes wrong, like the most could go wrong in that.
I don't even think about that anymore. My mom used to not be able to watch me at all. She'd say, I just have to close my eyes and listen for you to be done.
Back home in Chaddsford, Pennsylvania, King works for her family's tree service business. It's a job which provides an unlimited supply of practice wood. It also provides a link to the world which produced these wood chopping techniques.
Every event that we do, or every discipline that we compete in, is based on a traditional practice in forestry. Once the tree is down on the ground, it might be 100, 150 feet long. How are you going to move that thing? So that's where the underhand chop comes into place.
King made the finals in all of her events in Wisconsin and took 5th place overall in the women's division. Lumberjills Erin Lavoie and Stephanie No tied for 1st.
Matt Koger on station 2.
Matt Koger won nearly all of his events, taking home his 3rd men's overall world championship title. It's a small enough world that most of these athletes know each other. They see each other at all the same events. Events where, who knows, a future lumberjack or Jill athlete may just be sitting in the stands.
We're highly competitive, but at the end of the day, if we want to see the sport succeed, we've got to work together. It's a wonderful community, and it's really enriched my life.
The best actors are nuts. They are. They're absolutely out of their mind.
Did you ever think you were nuts?
We'll have more with Sylvester Stallone coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. As promised, here's more with Lee Cowan and Sylvester Stallone.
So how long have you been riding horses?
I've been on horses, majority, so like 4 or 5 years old. I was going to be a professional horseman. That's what I was going to be. I was going to be an equestrian. I was going to train polo ponies. I've played Blues Kazi. I've played, all these really dangerous sports all over the world. Of course, polo and the Western dressage, reining. That's where I met Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
Learning what is known as the Western disciplines, which is called reining.
Yeah.
As opposed to dressage. Yeah, and I have great respect for it. I have, 5 back operations, so there's only so much you can bounce. I'm thinking about graduating to a donkey, maybe a Sicilian burro.
Just a nice slope.
So if I fall, it's at 1 foot.
But you and horses are just, you understand them? Like you get
Well, I do,
bond?
but I also understand you can never completely trust anything that can run and go to the bathroom at the same time. You just remember that.
Rules to live by.
There's rules to live by, you know what I mean?
When it comes to writing, I know that you said you don't really like it. It's torture.
It is torture.
But you keep doing it, though.
Yeah, it has to come out. It's just there's a, everybody has a certain way, I think, of kind of like releasing the emotional magma of their soul.
That's writing right there.
Right, there you go.
Were you always into reading and literature?
No, it was an acquired distaste. When I was completely, I never failed. I mean, I never passed English course in my life. Really, I mean, my report card looks like F is my favorite letter. I mean, really,
even in English, though?
Yeah, terrible.
And writing and
terrible. Because I don't understand the process of structure. I mean, you can sit there and diagram, break down the sentences, and use all kinds of intransitive verbs. You go, but is it funny? Is it a story? I think what makes quite often an interesting story is the imperfection or the pentameter of speech.
You'd also said that when it comes to acting, that it's about experience in acting, not necessarily talent.
For sure.
That the more you sort of embody the craft.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I believe some actors take it way too far. You know, they over-investigate everything that it becomes mechanically pure sound, but you lose the viscera, you lose that kind of unpredictability. The best actors are nuts. They are. They're absolutely out of their mind.
Did you ever think you were nuts?
Completely. I am so fit for this job because you're dealing with things that don't exist. You aren't Rambo. Really? Yeah. No? Yeah. Yes. No. You're not. And you embody things that just aren't there, and you do it well. That's not like a real normal type job. You know what's a great job? A plumber. That guy you want to always keep on speed dial. That's a real man. A doctor, a cop, a fireman, teacher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Actors are interpreters. They're having, they're in this giant sandbox, enjoying it. Tortured, but enjoying it.
I'm Tracy Smith. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you here next time on Here Comes the Sun.